All right, hi, I'm Alex Colmer. I'm the founder and CEO of VidMob, and I'm joined here with two of my all-time favorite guests here I've been looking forward to all day, with Hope Cowan, who is the Director of Creative Agency Partnerships at Facebook, and with Eric Schnabel, who's the Director of North America for Facebook's Creative Shop. Thank you both for joining us.
Thank you for having us, Alex.
Thanks, Alex.
One of the themes that's been talked about, I think in almost every conversation we've had this year is creative effectiveness. It's definitely a key theme here this year. How does Facebook think about measuring creative effectiveness? What does it mean to you? What should people take away?
So we've always had a human feedback loop, but it wasn't a scalable feedback loop. So you might have one-on-ones or qual groups with a total of 6 people, and then if you aggregate 4 groups, you got 24 people, right? But now we have access to these large pools of people through which we can develop a learning loop. And so I like to use the language around learning versus effectiveness because I feel like the agency community can wrap their mind around that a little bit differently, and it feels a little more familiar to them. And I think, we never had a very responsive feedback loop with the traditional mediums. And I don't think that a lot of agency people are really familiar with some of the new terminology unless they existed or they grew up in a digital agency. And so I think sort of taking the charge out of some of that language can be really powerful.
We couldn't agree more. So we're now at over 1 billion people viewing stories on Facebook. It's got to be, the fastest rise of any sort of media format in history. WhatsApp, Messenger, obviously part of that conversation as well. How are agencies and brands adopting stories? How do you see that taking shape?
This is a great one. So the rise of stories is one of the most important things that's happening across all of our platforms today. And what's really interesting about it is the way people are using stories puts them in control. It makes them feel like it's something that they own and that they can touch. If you think about when you go through a story and you touch the panel and you go to the next one, you go to the next one, you advance it, you're in control as a user. You're able to decide how much time you want to spend with something. You're able to then click through and see your friend or see whoever story you're following. And so that sensation of being in control then transfers when you create ads. So when brand marketers are starting to create ads in stories, there is still that same sense that the user has that they're in control, that they can very quickly capture a bit of just a very quick look at something, or they can tap into it. And we think that's why we're seeing so many people swipe up, so many people swipe in, and it's sound on. It's this sense that they have that they're in control of it. So I think it's truly one of those things where user behavior is translating into advertiser behavior.
I think it's amazing. Many years ago, I was thinking about ways in which you could apply sort of choose your own mentality to and sort of nonlinear storytelling.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's one of these things that we've been talking about and thinking about as creators for decades.
Yeah.
What we didn't realize is that control is great as long as it doesn't come with annoyance.
Yeah.
And the stories platforms just make it so easy, seamless to bounce around in different directions, and it's no surprise that it's taken off as it has.
Yeah. If you think about every great campaign that you've ever worked on, you always have a terrible choice of which executions you can afford to produce. You can only afford to produce so many.
Yeah.
With a tool like Stories, we've always known that if you could see multiple executions of a great idea, that people would just get it more deeply, believe it more, it would resonate more, everything improves. Now you can, if you imagine what a great print campaign looked like for years and years and years, you'd have to go through months and different issues to land that idea. Now you can do that and target it at exactly who you want to do. And I think the more agencies play with that, the more that they're going to see more of their best ideas come more fully to life.
It makes total sense to me. Listen, this has been wonderful. I know you guys have all sorts of things to do, and I can't tell you how much we appreciate you taking the time to come by and spend some time with us.